Hello and welcome. This time we're going to talk about non-violent internal communication. Now, when I say non-violent, yes, you might think it's an amusing or even an interesting term. It is, in the sense that we're not specifically talking about physical violence, but emotional violence, which we often inflict upon oneself through self-judgment. So there are three layers through which all of us as human beings function. Of course, the outermost layer that we see or is visible to ourselves and others is the layer of behavior, right? Behavior could include actions, it could include speech, it could include the things that we do outside, which is visible to us and the people around us. Now, usually this behavior or action is triggered by some kind of a thought process. Right? So there is that thought layer which is very strong, and I would think the thought layer is something that is the most developed in us as human beings, because it's something that we train for all through our school, through our college, and through our social interactions as well. We are taught how to think, how to form opinions, judgments, biases, and use these thoughts productively. Now, this thought layer is more often than not impacted by the emotional layer, right? So, for example, if I think I don't like the color black, it is possibly because there is an emotional disconnect or a bad connect with the color black. Maybe I have a bad memory about something bad happening when I wore black at one point in time, right? So, emotions lead to a judgment which later we think is just a thought, but there is a deeper layer behind it. Is this the end of us as human beings? No, there is a deeper layer to our consciousness which can be used impactfully to make sure that we are empathetic towards ourselves, and that is the layer of needs, right? All emotions, good or bad, whether it's happiness, sadness, anger, jealousy, all of these are triggered by some kind of a need. So, for example, if I am happy that I have received an award at work, it is because my need for validation and my need for recognition has been met. If I'm sad that my child does not listen to me, it's perhaps because my need for contribution, my need for generating value in the life of my child is not really being met. So, emotions in us do not exist for the sake of just being emotions and feelings. They are triggered by a layer of need. And the important point to note is this: all needs are valid. Absolutely all needs are valid, because the needs that any human being would have are largely around the area of survival, which means there's a need for existence, there's a need for acknowledgement of one's existence or validation. There are needs which are social in nature, so there is a need for love, there is a need for belonging, affiliation, and all of these needs are absolutely valid. Now, some of these needs may lead to pleasant emotions like happiness, joy, comfort, and there could be some of these needs which, if they are not met, could lead to unpleasant emotions like sadness, anger, jealousy, and so on. And these emotions in turn impact our thoughts and therefore our actions. Needless to say, if a need is not met, the emotions are very likely to be unpleasant, and therefore the thoughts are just as likely to be unpleasant, and the behavior is usually therefore socially unacceptable. Now, how does this whole process work in terms of self-empathy? Here is how it goes. We are often taught that it's not nice to have certain emotions. So if we have anger, if we have jealousy, envy, we are told to shut up, not share it, and sometimes even beat ourselves about it. A lot of times we feel guilty about feeling angry or feeling extremely sad. However, here is what I'd like to offer. If you do feel sad, if you do feel any kind of a negative emotion, try and get in touch with the need behind it. Simply sit with yourself, understand what need of yours is feeling unmet that you feel this particular negative emotion. And that is a process of self-empathy. You may or may not express these emotions outside of you, but it is really important that you express these to yourself so that if not somebody else, you can meet your own need. At least you can acknowledge your own need. That is the first step towards healing through self-empathy.